What up? Y'all in? Where's everybody at? What up? What up, B? Are you talking? Oh, I can't hear you. Oh, Burns, you're on mute. Unmute yourself.
Hello, this is Brendan with Voice of the Jungle.
What's up, B-Dog?
You ready to get rid of Zac Taylor yet?
Yes.
Oh, he's finally admitting it.
Yes, not mid-season, though. How do I unmute you, Minute?
Okay,
Matt, you're on mute.
There we go.
There
we
go.
go. Can you hear me now? All right.
Yep.
What's going on?
All right.
Oh,
Welcome
you just
to
reminded
Voice
me.
of the Jungle.
I
This
need
will
a
just be
beer.
the recording, so it'll just be this.
All right, sounds good.
But yeah, this is the new Voice of the Jungle, the format, for the YouTube, for the podcast post-game review. Week 10 loss to the Steelers. Major loss, of course, anytime you lose to the Steelers, anytime you lose to an in-game rival or in-division rival, and especially an undefeated team. So I think I read a stat somewhere yesterday saying that Joe Mixon was the 6th rookie ever to face an undefeated team after week 8, which is like a really specific stat. But what do you guys think?
6th rookie ever to what?
What do you think?
Can you repeat that real quick?
I felt bad for Joe Burrow personally. He's got no help. Our team is just not good without Mixon. Without Mixon, we're terrible. It hurts when your best player's out, and we're learning that the hard way. And Joe Burrow's had a rough day because of it. It hurts when you lose to the Steelers. It does. But when you kill yourselves like we did in the first quarter, there's no excuses. The Erickson fumble, that was on. I don't know why he was trying to get an extra couple yards with guys all over him. Just get down. You have to be smart enough to know when to go down. And he didn't, and he got stripped. It's the Steelers. They'll make a play.
It's the Steelers.
And then you start off with
they'll make a play.
Well, the thing that annoyed me about the first half was our defense was good. We had 2 bad turnovers. And, I mean, I'll give T. Higgins a break because he made up for it. He was the best player on our team yesterday.
Well, he was the only one to score.
Yeah, him and Tyler Boyd is consistently awesome, but those 2 are the only players that actually showed up.
What do you don't think that Burrow did? You don't think Burrow had to run for his life?
No, I think Burrow did. I just think that was the moment might have been a little too big for him. He finally seemed like a rookie.
He did. But you're also facing the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yes, and I think the whole way we started just made things get worse. When you start with a rookie quarterback, well, it starts great. We get Roethlisberger to force a punt, and then Erickson fumbles, and suddenly they have the ball at the 20-yard line. You can't do that against the Steelers. I don't know how many times we've allowed the Steelers to get easy points on us. I'm sick of it. Mike Tomlin, 22-5 against the Bengals. Like, I don't care what team. Yes, they said that yesterday.
Wow.
I don't care what team it is. I don't care if it's the Steelers, one of the most storied franchises in NFL history. You do not let a coach go 22-5 on you.
No, and I would love to see Well, of course. Well, when did Tomlin start? Because they're probably all against Sleepyhead Marvin, your favorite coach ever. Your Hall of Fame coach is probably the guy that set Tomlin's record.
Marvin has all 5 of the wins.
I also believe that. Is that when he had Carson Palmer and Ocho Cinco?
Of course it was.
Bingo. Matt, what do you got to say? Chime in. You're also on mute. Matt's on mute. Unmute yourself.
Okay, there we go. All right, so how are you going to call Joe Mixon the best player on the team? What stat line are you using to say that Joe Mixon is the best player on the team, Brendan? There is no way that he's the best player on the team. Joe Burrow is head over heels best player on the team. And then even after that, you can debate some of the receivers might even be on the same level as Joe Mixon. Now, going on with that, though, like there's no disputing the fact that teams play us different defensively when Mixon's on the field. So I will agree there.
You hold on. You already really think Joe Burrow is better than Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon led the league in rushing 2 years ago.
What are you smoking, Burns? Of course he's better.
Joe Burrow is better. It's without a doubt, dude. Like, have you seen him, like, the ice in his veins when he took that what should have been a game-winning drive against the Browns and threw that short pass to Gio with under a minute to go and, like, sealed the deal? Like, that should have been the W. Like, that's like the X factor. It's not even like physical talent. It's just like believing you can win and actually
that's
executing
true.
and
That's
doing
true.
it. So
he's a winner. He's a winner. That's for sure.
And I'm not trying to throw shade on Mixon. Like, he's probably one of the league's best running backs, but dude, we have a transcendent talent at quarterback.
That's okay. I'll give you that. But as far as talent at the skill positions, Mixon's our best player.
And then the second thing I wanted to say is it wasn't the first time Joe looked like a rookie. The first time in my eyes that he looked like a rookie was against Baltimore. Exactly. And it was like the same kind of deal where it was like an elite defense that could disguise their coverages, execute the blitzes right at the right moment. There were some times during the game that Burrow just seemed a little bit lost when he was trying to read the coverages at the line. One of the questions that I wanted to come with you guys to for this that I literally just thought about 30 minutes ago. Objectively speaking, taking yourself out of it as like a Bengals fan, did this game tell you more about the Pittsburgh Steelers or did it tell you more about the Cincinnati Bengals?
Oh, that's a really good question.
So this is my take of yesterday. We are a better team than what we did yesterday. We are mentally screwed up by the way the Steelers have dominated us. We looked like a deer in the headlights out there. The Steelers did not play great. The scoreline looks like they played great. Roethlisberger played great, but the whole team, they did not. It was really Roethlisberger going crazy. But other than Roethlisberger, they were very average. That's a beatable Steelers team, and we laid a freaking egg because they have us in the mental game. When we go against the Steelers, they walk out there knowing they're going to beat the Bengals. And we walk out there terrified saying, oh, my God, it's the Steelers.
Yeah, they're big brother, and they come to whoop our ass.
That's exactly right.
Personally, I don't want to win a playoff game until it's against the Steelers. I want us to beat the Steelers.
I want to win the next playoff game possible.
But don't you feel like it would be so much greater if we got over the hill against the Steelers?
I think that would be. I think it'd be like two birds in one stone. I agree.
That would be incredible.
Remember Michael Jordan could not get past the Detroit Pistons, and then when he finally did, he was the best player and won it all. Like, I think when Joe Burrow gets over the Steelers mountain, we're going to win championships.
But do we know what team Joe Burrow was a fan of growing up? Because he's from Ohio. He's from around here. He's from 30 minutes from us.
I've heard Cleveland.
Oh, gross. Don't
Not 100%.
disrespect. No.
I mean, he's from Athens. It would make sense.
Is he from all the way in Athens?
Yeah, Athens. So it's not like he's from close to here.
Oh, I thought he was closer down to Cincinnati.
No, Athens.
Damn, I was hoping he was going to be a Bengals fan because he doesn't know, and this is going to Cleveland is not Pittsburgh's biggest rival. I hate when people say that Cleveland is Pittsburgh's biggest rival. I can't stand that. I hear that all the time. But no, Joe Burrow needs to have the hate in his heart for all things black and yellow. That's like a requirement.
You know why they say that they're actually Pittsburgh's rival? It's because of our atrocious record against them. Like they've won like out of all of the matchups, I think it's like a little over 100 or a little under. The Steelers have won 2/3 of them, so nobody considers it a rivalry because we can't get the monkey off our back and we can't win against them, especially like in the past like 20 years, dude.
But if you go ask a Steelers fan who they hate the most, chances are they're going to tell you Cincinnati fans. Chances are they're going to tell you they hate playing Cincinnati. Whether they always win or not, they're going to tell you they hate Cincinnati.
Oh, so you didn't answer the question, Tanner. What did it tell you? Did it tell you more about the Steelers, or did it tell you more about the Bengals last
No,
night?
it definitely told me more about the Bengals. It definitely made Joe Burrow seem more human, and it made him, it really cut him. It cut him, and we saw the blood of Joe Burrow. And, to your guys' point where, you think Baltimore truly exposed him for being the rookie QB, I think that was a showing of, hey, here's the dorm, here's the mess hall. This was him getting hazed. This was him getting his pants pulled down and spanked in front of everybody by the Steelers organization.
Oh yeah, he did.
I mean, this was a welcome to the league. You played for the team that happens to hate and have a vicious hatred for one of the dirtiest and one of the most hard-hitting teams. We come from the black and blue division. Let's not forget the division that we play in, regardless of anybody's record the past 10 years. We come from the black and blue division where it is the roughest, toughest defense. It's hard plays. It's a lot of ground game. And the Steelers brought all of that to the Bengals. I think it exposed the Bengals for what they are. I think it exposed Burrow for what he is. Our defense is once again tired, and we're seeing the same thing that we saw with Andy Dalton. We're seeing a shitty offensive line, and we're seeing the defense having to continue to prop up games. And that's not how you win football games. You win football games by stocking your defense with the best possible players and then giving your offense a podium to stand up and climb off. But they're not going to win continuing the way that they are.
So what I think needs to happen is, well, first off, Matt, Tanner admitted finally that Zac Taylor needs to be fired.
Not mid-season. After the season.
Matt, are you still going to be on Zac Taylor's jockstrap, or are you finally admitting he's fired?
I'm not gonna come out here and call for his head. But hey, before you continue with the screw Taylor rant, let me concede some points to you. Things that I saw were very questionable coaching decisions yesterday. So there was a point early in the game where we went for it down on the goal line. It was like 4th and a few yards, right? And I think that's the play we got the touchdown with Higgins on, right? That was really ballsy. Most coaches probably would have gone for the field goal, and like I was applauding Taylor for that. 100%.
That was a winning play. That was a good move.
It's not a winning play if we lose the game.
It was weird though, because it was like Jekyll and Hyde. Because like we have the play where we're I think it's like 4th and 3 or 4th and 4. It's like right at the end of the 3rd quarter, right before we're going into the 4th. Like the game's like pretty much out of hand, but there's still a chance. And instead of going for it, Taylor punts the football or like lines up the punt formation. About. And I was just like scratching my head, like, what are you doing? Like
you're talking about when we were down 12, right? And he we were at about like basically midfield, and he punted.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that
We were
was
definitely a little bit on our side of the field, but like I mean, like the game situation, like if you're going to be competitive and you're going to win, like you got to stick to your MO and go for it on fourth down, because we had a crazy percentage going into the football game, like 13 of 15 on fourth down. Like you know that Joe executes on a high level in clutch situations, so you go with it. And like he
I agree.
didn't trust his guys in that moment, and I think that
But-
said a lot about him. So
But
like
Matt,
that,
do
for me,
you
that made him hard
trust
to defend.
that instinct in that time period? And I don't want to cut you off. I do want to hear what you said, but do you trust that rookie instinct in the middle of a Steelers game where you're getting your ass beat?
Well, so the way I want to answer that is if you have any sort of shot at possibly coming out of the football game with a W, like numerically speaking, like I think you go for it, right? So like
100%.
I mean, like he should have gone for that. Like if you're I'm an all or nothing kind of person. So if you're not going to go for it in that point, and you're going to concede to the fact that you probably lost this game, then you should have taken Burrow out and had him not taking any more hits and thrown Ryan Finley in. Which another thing that kind of made me scratch my head a little bit. I heard on 700 on the way home that Joe Burrow had a little bit of an ankle injury that
Yeah,
he
he
was
was
playing
hurt.
with during the middle of a game. And
Yeah,
it's
he was
like,
hurt.
dude, like if you know you're gonna lose, like when you're in that fourth quarter and like
Finley should have
you
been
only
in.
have 10 points, take them out. Like that's the
100%.
next 15 to 20 years of our franchise. Take him out. That's a huge investment. You don't treat him like Carson Palmer, and you how Carson Palmer got
Especially his
ankle
first
rolled
year.
like that. Like no.
Yeah, no.
So
He rolled his ankle, and despite being down over 20 points, we let him roll in. We should have just put Finley in. The game was out of reach.
now the only thing that I have to say about it, really, is I don't know what Burrow would have said. Like I don't know if he did say anything like, "Hey, coach, like I'm staying in. I don't care." Like I don't know if like
That could have
Taylor
been
was. I don't know if Taylor was worried about what it would have done to his like confidence or whatnot. So like there's those things to take into consideration. But like I don't know. Like ultimately I think like he's a huge investment, like number 1 overall pick. I don't even know if we'll have another number 1 overall pick in the next 15 years if we start like racking up W's. And
Well, we might have the number 1 pick this year.
No, we won't. The Jets are 0-9. Did you see the horrific game they played against the Patriots? They should have won it and found a way to lose. But and then the other thing is my last thing on this Taylor situation, and I know I'm like ranting against him a lot. I am still with you, Zac Taylor. I'm still with you. You made me really mad though. You didn't coach your players to come into this game prepared.
No.
All 3 phases of this football team were whack, except you could argue the defense came to play because they were good against, as Tanner called it, the black and blue division in football. They were good against the run. They were stuffing James Conner up the center.
Yeah,
Any of the
Conner
jet
played rough.
sweeps and the outside runs were getting shut down by the corners. And they weren't like we ended up losing Mackenzie Alexander halfway through the game, and we were still shutting down the run on the outside. So I thought that was impressive. On the offensive side of the ball, we couldn't do anything. Special teams was an atrocity. Like you saw us force a 3 and out, and Alex Erickson couldn't like even pull it together to call a fair catch. And
when do you let Erickson go? When do you put him back on the practice squad, and when do you let him go? Because that's a name you've heard for the past 15 years.
I think Erickson should have been fired today or cut. Inexcusable. He fumbles, and then he doesn't call a fair catch and gets rocked on the very next one. He could have fumbled that too. He was making reckless decisions all night.
So I want to say the other thing and I know both of you guys hate on him or have hated on him, but I will once again say, number 1, the best player on the Bengals is long snapper Clark Harris. But number 2, Fat Randy. Your guy's favorite player, Fat
I don't
Randy.
hate on him.
Oh,
I don't
stop.
hate on him.
Stop. He
Burns.
can't kick anything over 50.
He's the most accurate Bengal ever.
That's not saying much when your kickers are Neil Rackers. I mean, we've had some of the worst kickers in NFL history.
We went to 2 Super Bowls. Just don't ever forget that.
Yeah, don't worry. We'll call
Shane
up Mike Brown and
Graham.
let him know he needs to spend the money on Justin Tucker next year.
Yeah, right.
Justin Tucker.
But so that's like the valid
That's a fat
like
check.
that's like a valid point though. Like, I mean, like, what do you spend your money on when you're GM? Like, none of us are GMs here, and there's a finite salary cap. So, like, I mean, are you going to put it in on a kicker, or are you going to just kind of like
we need
take
corners.
the best kicker you got?
We need corners.
We got good corner. We
We
got
need
good
an
corners. We need
offensive
offensive
line.
line.
We've given up over
Offensive-
300
offensive
yards
line.
every game.
We have
That's
not
just because
had an
they're on-
offensive line since I hit puberty. Like, we haven't had an offensive line in a decade or two because Andy Dalton went through the same problem that Joe Burrow did. We have spurts where one year we get Whitworth and we're really good. The others we get supporting where we're just good. And the other years we get just absolute trash. We get a bunch of trash cans. They just roll them out. They literally roll out trash cans onto the field and they say, hey, Burrow, protect yourself with this runky dump of a trash can of an offensive line. That's what we do to our quarterback. Hey, come to Cincinnati and see how beat up your quarterback can get. You might as well let them walk around downtown wearing a pimp coat late at night because they're just going to get robbed on the field or off the field. We let the quarterback just get destroyed. We let him get run over. That's
we haven't had a good offensive line since 2015, and there's a reason why we were really good that year. It was because
there's a reason why we were not good any of the other years. And right around there was a couple good ones, but that was it.
To your point, Brendan, of why we've given up so many yards, it's because there's certain games like this when we're facing legitimate contenders where our offense can't stay on the field and the defense is constantly on the field. So, like, it bloats the numbers. It bloats the numbers. Like, I think our defense is better than it's been in the past couple years, really. I mean, the linebackers could use a little bit more.
We need to get some pressure on the quarterback.
I mean, it's hard when you gave up Dunlop and he didn't even want to play with us. Like, I mean, so I totally agree. Like, we probably do need to invest a pick on the line.
Day.
Oh, for sure.
So let's look at some stats. So Ben Roethlisberger, holy shit, threw the ball 46 times.
I think 313 yards, right? Something
333.
Like that. 333.
Half the devil. Joe Burrow throwing for 40, completing 21 of them. I mean, Joe Burrow did not have a bad day with 213 yards.
That was probably his worst game of his career, I think.
Easily. Higgins with 7 receptions, though, with 115 yards. I'm getting a Higgins jersey.
All I got to say
is, like,
jersey. I know we were talking about doing kind of like an earn your stripe segment. I think the only player on the Bengals who actually earns that this week is Higgins, and it's like not even close. Like you might have been able to make the argument for Jesse Bates when he deflected that pass and it should have been a pick and he could have taken all the way to the end zone.
That should have
like
been
since he didn't execute on that, which like I'm not a safety in the NFL, like I probably couldn't have made that. And like, I mean, at least he deflected it, but like Higgins executed yesterday. Like he was the only guy who was prepared to play the Steelers yesterday.
Well, what I like is he had that bad fumble, but he turns around and then is the best player the rest of the day. It was a good turnaround. That's good to see.
He had a short memory. Memory.
I'm going to go ahead and take 30 seconds of your time here, guys, and hit you with a sponsor break. This podcast is sponsored by Tim Tan Brewing and Tim Tan Beer. This is a totally legitimate company. We make beer. It's really good. And we're the only sponsors. Let's continue with the original.
We got the exclusive sponsorship.
You're damn right about that. We're the only vendor. No, so Minnick, I want
Yeah.
to ask you both. I want to ask you both this, but I want to hear your response. What do you think we need to do defensively to become what we were
With Perfect,
Montez Perfect and with Pacman Jones? Yes.
we need to re-sign Perfect.
No,
I mean,
because
I'm not
then
opposed to
you're just gonna see yellow flags flying all day long. No way.
that.
So I think the linebackers look surprisingly good. Like maybe we could do with one more acquisition back there. Other than that, I think that they just need a little bit more experience. Obviously, we lost a good pass rusher and Dunlop. I know some people might point to some of his numbers this year and say that he wasn't so great, but I really think that's because he wasn't bought in anymore and he was kind of ready to go. So
He was sick of losing.
I think it's going to be important in this draft. Maybe not in the first or second rounds, but like a little bit past that, you might want to be looking at some edge rushers. You do have to improve the pass rush, but like, I know this kind of gets away from your question a little bit, Tanner, but definitely we have to invest in the offensive line first so we don't burn out the defense too.
Yep.
So when it comes to moving forward and looking at the NFL draft, I think, first off, everything depends on where our pick is. So, yes, we need an offensive line, but we should not reach for one. We reached for Billy Price, and it backfired like you've never seen. And we've reached
Then
for
where do you get an offensive line?
Free agency.
You buy an offensive line in free agency.
Yeah, because
what we're going to do, this is what I think is going to happen. We're going to have the 7th overall pick. We're going to take Chase from LSU to replace A.J. Green. He's the most explosive player in the draft. Joe Burrow already loves him.
If we took a receiver, I'd be so mad.
And then
we wouldn't be addressing our needs like that. And like I just
Chase is the best player in the draft straight up there.
That's like buying new rims for your car when you know you have an exhaust problem.
But you can buy. You have to buy offensive linemen. Clearly, our scouting department in the draft for offensive line is a joke. How many have we gotten wrong in a row? We can't scout.
Ever since Marvin left.
Even
Marvin was a great scout. Marvin was a great.
Marvin drafted Oboye. He might have been worse than Bobby Hart.
Oh boy, I totally forgot about Oboye.
We drafted that clown in the first round.
Oh, you know who that just reminds me of, talking about old Bengals players? I don't want to get off the subject, but Burns' favorite player of all time, then Jarvis Green Ellis.
Oh, yeah, right. I hated that. Tanner's favorite was, I'm going to get burned, Drake Kirkpatrick.
I love Kirkpatrick.
He got burned for a touchdown the other day. I was cracking up.
Matt, we need you to settle the discussion. Drake Kirkpatrick, is he hot or is he not?
So when he's healthy, he's hot.
Oh my God.
That's the hardest thing to do though, because he's one of those players who plays through his injuries. And when he was like heading up the league, like with yards after catch allowed, he was playing with like a torn shoulder muscle. And like this dude was still out in the field. So like those are things you got to take into consideration. But that being said, like if you don't take into account the fact that he was injured, he was mid-tier and probably wasn't worth the contract. We were floating him for over $50 million. And it's like I always say though, the ability to stay on the field and just like how resilient you are, like those are attributes are most important in football. So that being said, if I had to pick one side of the coin without including like the injury call, I would have to say like he's lukewarm.
He was guaranteed to get burned for a touchdown every game. He was terrible. He might have been the worst Bengal I've ever seen.
I don't think he was a shutdown corner. Like at the end of the day, like you pay that kind of money to somebody who's
we paid him like he was. We paid him like he was Richard Sherman. We were so dumb.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he was a shutdown corner by any means. He wasn't like a Tre'Davious White or like a Patrick Peterson in his prime or a Richard
I wish
Sherman
we had
when he was
Peterson.
part of the
No,
Legion of
but he
Boom.
makes clutch. But he made clutch plays when clutch plays were needed to be made.
Pacman was
I
our
think-
best corner, straight up.
I think he had
I
his
totally
time.
agree with that. I 100% agree with that statement, Brendan. Finally, something we
I think
agree
he
on.
had his time. I think he had his time, like when he was surrounded by a great cast with like Reggie Nelson in the secondary and Pacman,
Leon
who you
Ball.
just mentioned. Yeah, like when all of those pieces were in the backfield, I think they played well together. But without those pieces, like Drake or Patrick, I didn't view him as like a superstar. So I mean, like I thought he was good, but I didn't think he was like 50-something million dollars good. You know what I mean?
No.
So yeah, that's where I get the lukewarm from.
I'm wondering how Trey Waynes is going to be next year. We spent all this money getting this corner, and he gets hurt, so that for the whole year, and that was big. That was like our big off-season move.
It'll be a good
Stinks.
investment, I think. I mean, the more players that we keep out of injury when we're not in contention, like I think the better off we are, ironically.
So what do you guys think that we need to do the rest of the season? Do we play it safe? Do we play conservative, maintain Burrow's health? Do we continue to try and figure out who we are? Or do we play aggressive as if we're still, shot out of the cannon per se, and play as hard as we possibly can?
We need to get momentum for next year, but at the same time,
Yeah.
I want Zac Taylor to get fired. So we do have
Who
a
do you
really
think
easy,
should be his replacement?
Mike Zimmer from the Vikings when they can him, our old defensive coordinator who should have taken over. He should have taken over from Marvin. He was literally waiting around for Marvin to get fired, never did, and then dipped for Vikings because he was sick of waiting. It was our own fault.
What about Hugh Jackson?
No, I don't want anything to do with Hugh Jackson.
Not as a head coach. The only way that I would want Hugh Jackson in as a coach is if he came in as an offensive coordinator and we did fire Taylor and Zimmer was the head coach.
I think that's the reason why he's not our offensive coordinator now, is because Taylor knew he would end up replacing him if he was. Because he came out and said he wanted to coach for the Bengals again.
Zimmer said that?
No, I think it was
Hugh Jackson.
Hugh, yeah.
Oh, well, of course he did.
He was an idiot. He would have been our head coach if he didn't go to Cleveland.
Well, the problem was we never got rid of Marvin, and we kept giving him Marvin one more year. We did that like 4 times.
I don't think that we should play it safe, not too safe anyway, because I don't think it's good for the morale of the team.
No,
so,
I think our schedule really
keep
opens up. We have a pretty easy schedule coming up. Starting our next game, Washington, we should win that game.
I want to see
a good defense,
some crazy play calling. Do you guys remember? Do you remember it was like 8 years ago, and I believe it was when Hugh Jackson was the offensive coordinator, and they drew up a play. They called it the Star Wars play, and I only remember it because of what they called it. And I forget what they did, but it was a really crazy play.
It was stacked receivers at the line. They were like stacked up right behind each other.
Yes. And it was like I think they had like a line of receivers.
Yeah, I think it was like a bubble screen off of it, and then they had a couple other plays that they had too with like a couple out routes, but I can't remember.
I think we need to see more creative play calling. I think we need to see, this is 2020 in the NFL. Now is the time to draw up whatever plays that you want. I mean, we've seen some crazy stuff. Like let's keep seeing that. I want to see extremely creative play calling the rest of the year.
To Zac Taylor's credit, though, like I don't think his play calling is that bad. Like as an offensive player,
I agree. The problem is he's an offensive coordinator, not a head coach. That's the problem.
I can agree with that. Like I mean, I don't know how he is in the locker room, but like there's sometimes when like I feel like he's not angry enough at some of the calls that refs make, where it's like there's like a fine line between going too far and then having being like charismatic, and
Like,
I
if-
feel like
like-
sometimes he might lack the
So you want
charisma.
basically, if you ask me what Bengals fans want for Cincinnati, and if you've asked this question over the past 10 years, the same thing is the answer. Everybody essentially wants a coach that's going to scream bloody murder in their ref's
like a
face.
Bill Coward. Oh my God!
To instill the fear of God, not a respectful fear, but a Machiavellian fear over the players, like a true, like a murderous fear. Like, I don't want you to respect your coach. I want you to do what your coach says, so that you fear for your life.
A Bill Coward, a John Gruden. We need a hothead.
Yes. We need.
We don't
Bobby
need
Knight
Zac Taylor.
of the NFL.
It's all right. Well, Zac Taylor's pansy ass. It's okay. We'll get him next week. He's a terrible head coach.
We need the Bobby Knight of the NFL.
100%. We need
somebody to go in there and just throw chairs and just get kicked out. I want to see the Bengals head coach get kicked out. That's how much aggression that we need this team. This team, there's a heart. It's a young team. There's a lot of really, really good players and really good talent. We need somebody that's going to come in like Jordan Belfort in The Wolf of Wall Street and scream at everybody and get them motivated and get them hyped up and really just bring the energy up. You know, you're bringing in.
We need to hire
Pacman
and Vontaze.
Yeah. I'm
Pacman at head coach. Vontaze is
no, because we're gonna get
we're
gonna get the rep of
head coach.
No, we're gonna.
Dude, do you know how good of a team we'd have? Oh, we would have the best team ever.
Pacman and Perfect share responsibility as the defensive coordinator.
We'd be having Alvin Kamara signed tomorrow if we had Pacman as our coach.
We would also bring in Antonio Brown.
Are you guys trying to get the reputation of Greg Williams from the Jets, where all the analysts are talking about how I should be thrown out of the NFL and how you should never be able to have another coaching position again because you taught your players to play so dirty? I'm not trying to have that. I'm not trying to bring that back to Cincinnati.
How do you think the Steelers got so many rings?
Steelers.
How many? Exactly.
No.
How do you think the Steelers got their rings?
No,
it's time we earn our stripes.
I don't want that.
You wanted to bring in the earn your stripes segment. Bring it in with the coaches. Earn their stripes.
Yes.
Yeah,
let's get Pacman on the line.
Pacman on the line, baby. Head coach Pacman.
Head coach Adam Pacman Jones.
How about
Are you kidding me? We would have the best team. We'd have Lamar calling trying to get on our team. We'd have Kamara at running back. We'd have the hottest team you could ever think of.
What are you smoking?
Okay,
Lamar is never gonna leave the dirty birds.
Here's a question for you. Here's a question for you. Say if tomorrow you woke up and Pacman Jones was the head coach of the Bengals and Lamar Jackson had the choice to come to Cincinnati for $100 million and leave Joe Burrow, and they swap. Say they do a player swap where tomorrow Pacman Jones is the head coach and they do a player swap. Do you take Lamar Jackson for Joe Burrow to go to Baltimore, or do you keep Joe Burrow with Pacman Jones the head coach? What do?
You keep Burrow because Lamar's a runner. He's going to get hurt eventually. What you do get is Alvin Kamara. You got Mixon and Kamara in the backfield. That's game over.
And I mean, did you see the stat they pulled out on Lamar today? Like, it's like he's been behind something. Like, if he's under 10 points at halftime, like he's unable to come back in like the last 20 or 30 attempts. Like, it's
because
ridiculous.
He can't throw.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's like
if you get if you get in front of the Ravens, you'll beat them.
All right, hey guys, our time limit on the Zoom is about to be up, and we got about 20 seconds. So go ahead and shout yourself out real quick.
I don't know if there's a lot to shout about. Simply because the Bengals have to stop being Jekyll and Hyde. They need to come to play, be prepared, and be the team they were against the Tennessee Titans. So then I'll shout once they're like that.
I'll be pumped when Zac Taylor's fired.
I'm
never going to call for somebody's job. Who day?
Who day?